Hi everyone, this is Mehmet Sheikh, and in today's video I will discuss about one of the important concept of object-oriented programming, which is object. So here I have listed down some points, and with the help of these points we'll try to understand what is the concept of object. Now let us start with the first point. Object is termed as an instance of the class. Okay, so why it has been termed as an instance of the class? Because it is the part of the class. It gets created and instantiated within the class. That's why it has been called as an instance of the class. Okay, now the second point is an object is a real world entity which contains data and functions. Okay, in object oriented programming we use objects for writing the program. When we are using objects in object oriented system, then it will be easier for us to write the program. It will be easier for us to understand the problem and make a solution for that problem. Okay, and every object contains data and functions. What is the data and functions? So if you take an example of an real world object, okay, let me take an example of mobile is an object. And what is the data of the mobile? Okay, its color, its price, its screen size. Okay, so all these are the properties and we can call it as data of that object. And what are the functions? The functions are making a call, receiving a call, sending a message, transferring file. Okay, so all these are the functions or operations. Okay, so if we take an example of an object, then it will be easier for us to get the data of that object, and we can easily get the operations of that object because we can relate that object with the real world. So that makes us easy to understand the problem, that makes us easy to make a solution for that problem. That's why we use the concept of object in object oriented programming. Okay, now the third point is it may represent a person, place, an icon, window, browser, or something else that can be modeled. Okay, so objects can represent any person or a place or an icon, anything which is exist in real world and can be easily modeled. A car can be an object. Okay, an ATM machine can be an object. Okay, now the next point is objects are central entities in object oriented programming. Okay, so since we are writing down programs, we are designing the system using the concept of objects, and in these types of system everything revolves around the objects. That's why in object oriented systems objects are considered as the central entities. Next, objects occupy space in the memory. Objects occupy their own space in the memory of the system. So now the last point is one object can communicate with other object by sending message. Okay, as we know that we can create more than one object of the same class. So when we have more than one object of that same class, one object can communicate with other object. One object can send message to other object of the same class, or one object can send a message to the object of other class as well. Okay, so here you can see I have taken two objects, an employee object and customer object. Okay, so what are the properties? What is the data in employee object? Name, designation of the employee, age of the employee. Okay, and what are the functions and what functions that employee does? Gross salary, total salary, print salary. Okay, so calculating this gross salary, total salary and print salary can be the functions. And if I take an example of customer, so what will be the data for that customer? Name of the customer can be a data, account number of that customer can be a data, address of the customer can be a data. Okay, and the functions can be deposit, withdraw, balance. Okay, so if we take the concept of object in system development, since these are the real world entities and they are exist in the real world and we know them very well, that's why we can relate to them and that's why we can understand them better and we can model them easily. Okay, we can make the system for those objects very easily because they are exist in the real world and we know them very well. Okay, so this is the concept of object oriented programming. So I hope you understood each and every point of this explanation, and that's all for this video. If you like this video, click on like button, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching.